Hey, welcome back to the Crabby Dice. Today we're looking at the Rokoko Jewelry Box expansion. And yes, I don't have the box anymore because I throw away those expansion boxes. Alright, so let's zoom in a little bit because all we really care about is this. So let's talk about the setup first, and then we'll go into other rules and thoughts and all that jazz after. So the setup's pretty easy. You have this new board that you're going to just place here next to the regular game board. Now, for players, there's this new deck of zeros. Alright, hand each player one of these, but they don't go into their supply. Just keep it on the side of your board. There's a ton of them, so just give one to every player. And you're also going to give them one of these. These are to keep track of your sort of objectives, so you can upgrade your characters later in the game. So it's like an RPG. Let's upgrade some characters. Alright, we're going to have some jewelry tiles here. Just line them up. They're going to act the same way as dresses, so every round you're just going to slide one down and slide everything to the right. Alright, next we're going to have two decks here. One full of apprentices with all number 2s, and the other one's full of masters with number 5. So what you're going to want to do is go in the regular deck of number 5s. You're going to see here the color difference. You're going to take out those two number 5s. You're going to shuffle this huge deck of number 5s now. And you're going to take two random ones and put it back into the main deck where the number 5s were. Then do the exact same thing for the 2s. So you see here, these are the regular 2s and these are the expansion 2s. You're going to shuffle them all together. You're going to take two of them and put them into the regular deck where the two apprentices used to be. So your deck is still going to have 28 cards. It's just now you might have some of those promos. So you see here, number 5, it's one of those promos. Well, not promos, expansion cards. So here's the other number 5. So this is still 28 cards and still going to track the game rounds. This is all you need for setup. Let's go to the rules. Alright, welcome to the jewelry box rules section of the video. So there's some modules here. So let's talk about some of the new things going on in your player area first before we talk about the jewelry. So at the beginning of the game, like I said in the setup, we're each going to be dealt one of these 0 apprentice cards. And you can tell that they're the 0 ones because they have a darker circle right here. So let's say I was given this one. This guy is not going to go into your employee general supply. He's going to be on the side of your board on the right over here or anywhere you like. Alright, you need to unlock him to bring him to your hand to hire. Okay, so in the future when your master and only your master does a hire employee action, instead of hiring from the general employees that are on the side of the board over there, you can hire this guy to bring him to your hand if and only if you satisfy what's in the blue section here. So they're all pretty obvious. Just look at the card. You have these resources, have a guy in multiple areas of the halls, and so on and so on. So if you do satisfy this, do a higher action, and they come to your hand. These guys are pretty awesome. They all generate you 3 points. For an apprentice, that's a good point generation card. Okay, and that's it. Once you bring him to your hand and use him, he's just part of your deck like every other employee, and just play as usual. I really like this idea. Always play with it. Next, we're going to talk about the examination card here. So there's two sides. There's the journeyman examination and master examination here. So it's almost like you're upgrading your characters, like an RPG style thing. So before you can even do the action, I'll teach you how these markers work up here. So the game starts off on this side, which is the journeyman examination. And now, from now on, every time you do an apprentice action, so you can see the thimbles up here. Focus. There you go. And you do that action and satisfy the requirement below, you're going to put one of your markers on it. So just as an example, if I go get resources and I pick a yarn or a lace, I'm going to now put one of my markers on this card. The next time I go do resource gathering, I get a yellow or a green, I put my next marker on here. Eventually you'll have markers on all of them, and that's when you would unlock this ability. Alright, so let me just teach you how this action works. So this action must be done by an apprentice. So you see it's an apprentice going to a journeyman. So the way it works is you're gonna, let me just find an apprentice randomly in my deck. You're gonna send an apprentice to do this action. Alright, so before you do this part here, you can actually trigger the bottom ability of your apprentice. Alright, it's not marked here, but you can. So once you do that, then you pay $5. You would take this card or the apprentice you used, toss him into the game box because he just got promoted to journeyman. Alright, you're gonna go through the deck of journeyman here. Take one of them and add them to your hand. Alright, they're all pretty unique. They all have new powers. They're pretty cool. When you did that, you're also going to score a point, and then you're going to flip this around. Now you're on the master examination. So same concept as on the other side. When you're going to send a journeyman to make a dress or a suit, you're going to add your tokens on here. When you send a master to build or make a dress, you're going to put a token here. So when you have a token on all three over here, you can now perform the action down here, which is master examination. So you must send a journeyman here. So let's say I had this journeyman. I send this journeyman to do this action. Again, you could perform this section down here. Toss him in the game box, pay $5. Pick any master you want from this stack of master cards over here. You don't have to draw the top one, just go through them all because they're all mostly point scoring stuff. Well, they have some abilities down there. And then you add them to your hand. Score a point, then you reflip this back over. So this card, as long as you're filling this in and upgrading, then you keep flipping it over, and then fill it up, upgrade, flip it over, fill it up, upgrade, flip it over. So just gonna keep flipping over and over and over. You're upgrading your card, so it's good because instead of having apprentices later in the game, you'll have masters and journeymen that will work out better for you. All right, I like that. It's pretty cool. Upgrading is always nice, makes it feel good. Alright, and finally we'll talk about these jewelry tokens here. So there's two kinds, there's necklaces and rings. So now when you do a make dress action, you can assign or rent out a jewelry to that garment. Okay, so there's two restrictions. One is to even look at these jewelry tokens, you need to have a marker up here. Alright, and you can only have one marker up here at all times. So if you're playing a two-player game, even though there's 5 spots, you can only be up here once. Alright, now as long as you have a token up here, now you can actually assign jewelry to the person wearing the dress. Second restriction is if it's a lady, it must be a necklace, and if it's a man, it must be a ring. Ladies apparently don't like wearing rings, and men don't want to wear necklaces. Alright, fair enough. Alright, so what do you get out of it? So once you do that, you're going to actually take this tile and just put it on the side of your board here. Alright, so it's going to do 2 things for you. It's going to score you endgame points. So each one is 1 point all the time. And it's going to generate you extra income every round. So each of them is $1 extra. Alright. Don't forget to pay for what's up there when you actually perform the action to put the dress on, to rent out the jewelry, and that's it. For this, during the cleanup, just like the dress is here, this is going to slide down and everything slides over. Now there's only one particular rule about all this. If you do manage to match the color of the dress with the color of the jewelry, you're just going to take one of these resource material tiles from the face down deck, turn it over and keep it. Alright, it's just like a bonus because you matched. And that's it. Those are all the rules. Let's go to the next section. Alright, time for some maybe final thoughts here, but you can think of this expansion like 3 modules, and you can play with some and without some other ones. So let's go over them and I'll give you my thoughts. So there's this Zero Apprentice guy that you get at the beginning of the game. I really like this guy. He's a great generator of points. So usually apprentices at late game, they kind of suck because their abilities are kind of awful and you can't make dresses when you really want to make dresses. Well, at least if you had him, you can build decor and then score a bunch of points. So he's great at generating points, and if you get him out early, you're going to use him 3-4 times during the game. That's 10 plus points, and that could be significant if the average score is 70, right? So that's pretty good. Next, we'll talk about the mastery. This is my favorite part of the expansion. I love this. So it always gives you something to focus on, right? So sometimes you're like, oh, maybe I should get that dress because it'll make me score points. But then you look at this card, you're like, maybe not. Maybe I'll build decor instead, because now next turn I can go upgrade one of my apprentices to make him a journeyman, I'll get a better ability, and then you just chuck that apprentice in the game box, and then you flip it over, and you can do the same thing to a master, and it keeps flipping over, and it's really enjoyable. I love it. This is my favorite part. My least favorite part is the jewelry stuff, which is weird because that's the name of the expansion. I don't know, I find it's a bit a little bizarre because you're not actually putting the jewelry with the person on the board. You're actually going to put on the side of your board just to track that they took your jewelry and score extra money and 1 extra point. Is it worth 1 extra point? I don't know. I don't know if it's really worth it. I tend to never really focus on this because the payoff's never that great. You need to spend a ton of money just to be able to put out jewelry, and then each one is pretty expensive here. The cheapest one is 4, but most likely that's not the color you want because you want to match colors, so you're spending $6-7, and at that point you're never going to make up the difference with the money at the bottom because there's 3 rounds or 4 rounds left, so you're already paying more than what you'll get back for 1 extra gold. Is it good? Who knows? Unless you have an objective, a character that needs the jewelry, or one of these cards that need jewelry, I tend to never buy jewelry. Only on a rare occasion I do it, but that's only if I have money to waste on things. I'd rather spend money on my statues to score 8 points than to get 1 point, right? Stuff like that. So it's not bad. I play with it sometimes. I definitely play with these two all the time. This I will play with experienced players, and there you go. That's it. Those are my thoughts. I might have a playthrough after, I might not. It depends my schedule. Alright, see you on the next one.